In a tranquil village surrounded by rolling hills and lush meadows, there lived an old farmer named Takumi. His life was simple, and he worked the land with the same care and attention that his ancestors had for generations. Takumi's neighbors often marveled at his calm demeanor, for he never seemed troubled by the hardships that life inevitably brought. One summer, a wild horse wandered into Takumi's field. It was a beautiful animal, strong and untamed. The villagers came to see it, exclaiming, "How fortunate you are, Takumi. This horse is a great blessing." Takumi smiled and simply replied, "Perhaps." The next day, Takumi's only son tried to ride the wild horse, but it threw him off, and he broke his leg. The villagers, upon hearing the news, gathered once more and lamented, "How unfortunate. Your son has broken his leg. Now he cannot help you with the harvest." Takumi's response was the same, "Perhaps." A week later, soldiers came to the village, recruiting all the able-bodied young men to fight in a distant war. When they saw Takumi's son with his broken leg, they left him behind. The villagers, who had just seen their own sons taken away, spoke to Takumi again, saying, "How fortunate that your son was spared." Once again, Takumi smiled and replied, "Perhaps." Seasons passed, and Takumi continued to live his life with the same quiet acceptance. The villagers, however, could not understand how he remained so composed, no matter what happened. They were curious and puzzled by his attitude, and so one day, a group of them approached Takumi while he was working in his field. "Takumi," they asked, "why do you always respond with, 'perhaps'? Don't you see when something is good or bad?" Takumi paused, leaning on his hoe, and looked at the villagers with a gentle smile. "My friends," he said, "life is like the seasons, constantly changing. What seems like a blessing today may become a curse tomorrow, and what feels like a curse may reveal itself to be a blessing. We cannot see the whole picture from where we stand, so I do not judge events as good or bad. I simply accept them as they come, knowing that each moment has its own purpose." The villagers listened carefully, the simplicity of Takumi's words slowly sinking in. They realized that their judgments, their constant labeling of events as good or bad, often brought them more suffering than the events themselves. Takumi continued, "When we embrace each experience without judgment, we allow life to unfold naturally. In this way, we find peace, no matter what happens. Everything is best when we accept it as it is, without clinging to our desires or fears." The villagers nodded, their hearts touched by the wisdom of Takumi's words. They began to see the truth in his way of living, understanding that peace comes not from controlling life, but from accepting it. Over time, they noticed a change in themselves, a softening of their worries, a lessening of their fears. They learned to greet each day with an open heart, embracing whatever came their way, just as Takumi did. As the years passed, Takumi grew older, and the villagers continued to seek his counsel. He remained the same, calm, accepting, and wise. His life was not free from challenges, but he met each one with the same unshakable equanimity. And so, the village became a place where people lived with a deep sense of peace, knowing that every moment, every experience, was best in its own way, as long as it was accepted with grace. Takumi's simple wisdom had spread, not through grand teachings, but through the quiet example of his life. And in the hearts of the villagers, his lesson endured, that everything is best when viewed without judgment, for in acceptance, we find true harmony.